Hi, I'm Kinetic. I want to thank you for joining me. Today, I was originally planning to make another video about VR and its potential roles in society, and basically what I believe virtual reality will one day become. However, after a recent conversation that I had with someone, I decided that I wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. Instead, I want to talk about how VR is perceived by those of us who don't use it. Those people who have never put on a headset and think that VR is still just a sort of sci fi fantasy and beyond the grip of the average person. The reason I bring this up is because I was talking to a friend recently, well, not so much a friend as an acquaintance, someone that I've known for a while. But anyway, the topic of VR came up, and I casually mentioned that I've been doing some VR chat, and I talked a little bit about that and some of the worlds and some of the people that I've met. And to be honest, I kind of expected him to look down on it and maybe even look at me like I was just wasting my time. What I didn't expect was his level of wide eyed amazement. He went on to tell me that he wished he could get into VR, but he can't afford all the equipment and doesn't know enough about computers. And get this, he tells me that his apartment is too small, so he wouldn't be able to have a dedicated room for all the VR equipment. I mean, this guy actually thinks that you need a separate room in your home where you do your VR. And that's when I realized he's picturing sort of a VR suit with a dozen body trackers, along with infrared tracking stations on every wall. He's picturing being slung into a treadmill and having to program DOS every 15 minutes. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have no doubt that there are people who have all that, but most of us don't. I mean, take a look at me. Take a look at what I have. I have a fairly cheap, outdated headset that's running through a mid-weight gaming laptop. That's it. I'm not strapped into a treadmill with base stations tracking my every move. I'm not counting polygons and designing avatar bones and programming DOS. There again, there are some of us who do, but my point is that that's not a necessary step to get into the VR universe, just to try it out. The average VR user does not have all that. But I think that there's this perception that we do. This perception by the non VR user that that's still what's required to get into the VR universe. A perception that it's all still so unobtainable and so out of reach and just a thing of sci fi, effectively a fantasy. And then that makes me wonder, are there people watching this right now that believe that? Are there people who go on to YouTube and watch the VR shenanigans of the popular VTubers, both jealous and amazed, wistfully wishing that they had the ability and resources to join, and yet not understanding how easy it would be for them to just jump in? I mean, even a secondhand standalone Quest off of eBay could get them in. No advanced degree in polygons required. So, when I originally started this channel, I wanted to use it to explore the use of virtual reality as a form of modern social communication. However, the more I look at it, the more I realize that a big part of that is going to also have to revolve around the transition of people into the platform. So, some things that I'm also going to have to cover are who steps into VR and why, but also who's not stepping in and why, and how do those people perceive us? And is their perception of us a realistic one? Are we strapped into treadmills with full body tracking in our dedicated VR chambers? Or are we actually just chilling in bed with a standalone Quest 2? Or maybe, well, maybe we're actually streaming live from an off grid camper trailer somewhere in the mountains. These are all things we're going to have to look into. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. I am Kinetic, and I will see you next time.